All right, how y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? I am your favorite rapper, the best film writer and director in St. Louis. Facts, award-winning published author, activist, journalist, active business owner, Lacey G. Soldier Turner. And today we have a special guest to the Narrative Matters platform, the Organs platform. A powerful man, been doing a lot of things in the community. I done checked him out. We got the amazing, wonderful, talented man who's running for state representative on August the 2nd. We got Dale Taylor up in here. Thank you for coming on the platform.
Good morning. Thank you, Lacey. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity, and good morning, everyone.
So our first question to you is, where were you born and raised, and how was your upbringing?
I was born and raised right here in St. Louis. In fact, I was born at Homer G. Phillips Hospital. I was one of the many Black family, people, children, infants born at Homer G. I was raised in the West End neighborhood of St. Louis, and it was really a thriving community, a middle class Black neighborhood, just a few blocks from the Wellston shopping district. So my mother used to take us to the Jupiter. We would go and buy clothes at the J.C. Penney. And as we got a little older, we would walk to the Wellston Branch Library. So I look back with very fond memories of growing up in the West End neighborhood. Things weren't always good. My parents divorced early. We grew up, the house was a bit much for my mom, and we actually grew up in a house with no running water. No running water. So that actually had a pretty profound impact on me growing up as a kid. There were, you had to make arrangements to get a shower. We'd have to carry these 5-gallon buckets of water to, go down to the basement, turn on the water, catch water from a leaking pipe. And we would use that to wash clothes, to wash dishes, to cook. So, Lacey, in fact, I don't know if you remember, but when I was a kid, we would always get these National Geographic shows about people in Africa carrying water. And I was like, oh, I know that. I know it quite well. So it really did have an impact. And I think you'll see later on in the interview just how that comes back again, that working hard, striving hard really came back again to make me the man that I am today.
Okay. How did you used to go to Woolworth too?
Went to Woolworth all the time. And that's another side story. Woolworth was actually closing, and they had these candy bars for sale. My brother and I thought, ooh, we could buy these candy bars and take them to school and sell them. We did it for once or twice until we started finding worms in the candy bar.
That's why they were selling them. They like, we got to get them up out.
Just as quick as we were in business, we were out of business, stuck with all this inventory. So yeah, I know the Woolworth very well, very well.
So my next question for anyone who hasn't been to St. Louis, I know they see a lot of negativity. What can you tell the people about St. Louis who's never been?
St. Louis is an amazing historic town. It's a riverfront town. And long before it was St. Louis, it was actually the headquarters. It was the capital city of the Native Americans, the Mississippian people. We still have their mounds in Cahokia today, and their mounds all over the city of St. Louis. So it has always been a historic and significant contributor in the geography with the Mississippian people. And then St. Louis. St. Louis was a big immigrant town. We had a lot of immigrants from all over, a big industrial town. We used to make the Corvette. We used to make the Chevy Corvette, not far from my neighborhood. In fact, it's in the district that I'm running in. So there is a lot that I love about St. Louis. And I travel the world, I travel everywhere, and I proudly tell people, that St. Louis is my home. I tell them stories about St. Louis. And surprisingly, they already know a lot about St. Louis. They know about the Arch, they know about the Cardinals. So I have to tell them about the Corvettes and the other items.
So, I'm a film director here in St. Louis. So everybody always be telling, oh, you got to leave here. But I'd be like, we can turn St. Louis into a Hollywood house. We got so many monuments and everything, history here. So I feel you on that all the way. So I'll be trying to do my part to bring the people in too. So
yes.
But my next question to you, the question that everybody want to know: what made you want to run for state representative?
Lacey, I've been an international business consultant for about 20 something years, traveling the world, helping Fiji Water with their supply chain issues, with AIG with their financial issues, with numerous global corporations, helping them to solve their problems. And as I got close to retirement, I've always been active working in my community, doing leadership, doing youth mentoring. But as I was picking up trash and I was working at some of the food courts, making boxes and distributing boxes of food, in the back of my head, I knew, Dale, you know how to do better than this. You can solve these problems at a much bigger level. Yes, it's important, and these are real needs for today, but there are bigger, more systemic issues. And I actually have the talents and the skills and the education to solve them. So I am running primarily to go to Jefferson City and negotiate and continue the fight for healthcare. Healthcare is key, but it is also very complex. It's equally as complex as some of the systems that I've worked on for AIG. So that's a very big one. Infrastructure, another very, very big one that plays well to my background in chemical engineering and the time that I spent building water treatment equipment, of all things. So I do think, Lacey, that I have the skills, the experience, the corporate exposure, the leadership, the talents, and the global exposure to really make some large changes happen for us at the state level.
Okay, hey, let's touch on that more. You mentioned that healthcare. What is your stance on healthcare? Can you elaborate more on that?
Absolutely. We need to expand Medicaid. Medicaid is the state insurance that we offer to a number of people, women with children, some elderly people, but primarily we've expanded it so that young people, think 20, 18, 20, up to about 30s, they work, but they're underemployed. They may work, a couple of days a week at the ballpark, or they may work at a restaurant, but they're not working 40 hours. These are individuals that won't necessarily qualify for private insurance or for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. They don't work enough hours. They don't make enough. So we've expanded Medicaid to cover them so that, yes, now they also can get the health care and the mental health care that they need. But there's still so many other areas that we need to expand Medicaid. We need to make sure that we are processing these applications quickly enough. And we need to look at some of the other services, like, for example, doula services, so that women can get the prenatal care that they may choose to have. Expanding Medicaid, make sure that everyone gets the health care and the mental health care, Lacey. We cannot forget the mental health care. That is equally as important, especially in our neighborhoods when we look at some of the drug addictions and issues that we're wrestling with. And then, Lacey, not to belabor it, but the third piece of this, Medicaid is insurance. This is the funding that's used to pay for our hospitals, for our clinics, for our medical care facilities, but also for some of our home health aides, some of the people that come to our homes to give us health services. And it pays the salaries of a lot of nurses. Lacey, my stepmom is a nurse. My sister is a nurse. I could name off 10 or 20 nurses. And I bet you could probably name off a handful of nurses also.
Definitely.
Nurses are prevalent in our community. They are, one of the, they are prosperous, they are prevalent. These are single mothers that are maintaining households on their nurses' salaries. So Medicaid is also financial. It has a strong financial impact in our community. And I think, as much as I'd like to talk about infrastructure and things, the most important, the number one item is healthcare, making sure everyone gets the healthcare and the mental health care that they need.
Definitely. So my next question for you, kind of staying on that same topic, how can we get people to get insurance more? Because a lot of people, when I see a lot of people on Facebook and social media, once their loved ones die, they're always doing GoFundMes to try to pay for these funerals and everything, and they don't know how important insurance is. So how can we get the people to, push the people to get more insurance so they don't have to do that and the fish fries and all that?
Lacey, some of it is just cultural. Some of that is just our culture. We know and we use that as a solution. And I don't necessarily want to take one thing away to offer something else. But what I will say is we do need to do a better job of personal financial planning. We do need to look at our finances and think, do I have enough funds saved for the next 2 months? Do I have enough funds saved, if things hiccup or things go wrong at my job? Um, Very specifically to your question though, Lacey, when we start talking about burials, yes, there is burial insurance, but I think there's also a degree of just recognizing that funerals don't have to cost that much. Cremation services are modest. Doing a small ceremony is modest. What is the most important part? It is us gathering together and remembering that individual. We can do that in a park. We can do that in a place. The very most important part is us getting together and celebrating that life and how that life impacted our lives and sharing those stories. So I think we can continue to hold on to some of our traditions, just look at the costs and, maybe not go so overboard, plan for the funerals, look at some of the funeral insurance. And then I guess at a bigger picture, just take a closer look at some of our personal finances, try and look at what things can we do to try and force ourselves to save a little bit, save something.
Yeah.
Look at the decisions that we are making, and can we forego this? Can we celebrate in a different way and save some of that money for the future?
Okay, I like that. I like that. My next question, with so many deaths going on, especially recently, we seeing so many mass shootings around the world, which is crazy to me. What is your stance on gun violence, and what do you think can be done about
Lacey, it's interesting you say that. We're going to be, gun violence is a very important part of my platform. In my neighborhood, it feels every night I'm hearing folks shooting off the guns.
it?
I'm not even sure why. Is it just shooting it off for fun, or I'm not sure what it is. But Lacey, there are several components to this. I'm going to talk about two pieces of it. The first piece I'm going to talk is very specifically gun violence. If elected and going to Jefferson City, I would like to propose a bill such that if you have a court restraining order against you, you need to turn your gun into the sheriff. Once that restraining order is lifted, the sheriff will return your guns to you. I'm looking at this from a perspective of safety. If you have a restraining order for domestic violence against your family members or against yourself or others, turning your gun in is a safety issue. It's probably safer for you, it's safer for your family, and it's safer for your community. So I'd like to start having some debates, some public debates on the safety issues around guns and who has guns. I'd also like to see us enforce the laws that we have on the books right now. Be very serious about those laws and enforce the laws that we have right now. And then Lacey, kind of as a side note, I do want to talk briefly about something that's very different in our community, very different from the time when I was raised. I was raised a Boy Scout, and there were Boy Scout troops everywhere. And why were there Boy Scout troops? Because my mother, because the woman across the street and her son, because my aunt, these women and men wanted their boys, Boy Scouts, to have a troop to get together and learn civics and learn to work together and learn, what it means to be a part of our community. We have really lost something when we've lost the Boy Scouts. We've lost something when we lost the drum and bugle corps. Lacey, when I would go to the Annie Malone parade, the parade would be hours long. Drum and bugle, marching bands, Boy Scouts, all of these outlets were mentoring. These were the ways that we used to mentor our young men and our young women. They would learn how to interact with each other. They would learn conflict resolution. They would interact with other adults, not just their mother and father, but other adults, their den father, their den leaders. And when we lose these civic organizations, we really lose something in our community, and we see all kinds of social ills. We see reckless driving. We see poor conflict resolution. We see senseless gun violence and senseless shooting. So it really is a much, much bigger issue. There are things that we need to look at as a community, but if I'm your state rep, the piece that I'd like to start with is the gun itself. Let's make sure that we get the guns out of unsafe people's hands, and let's make sure that we are enforcing the laws that we have right now.
Yes, definitely. My next question, what life experiences have you had, that make you so passionate that want to run for office?
Ah, um, I grew up without running water, and I thought that was something that only happened to poor people in Africa. No, Lacey, it happens to poor people everywhere, even right here in St. Louis City. Why? You know, primarily because we don't know, or we don't know how to, get 3 bids from a plumber. We don't know how expensive it is to maintain some of these houses. There's a lot that we don't know. And I think that influenced my childhood. I just had I'm not a big guy. I wasn't going to become a football player or a basketball player. The question is what's my path? How am I going to find a path in life? So for me, it was through education. And I took my education personally. I took personal responsibility. I used to walk to the Wellston Branch Library. Saturdays, I would walk to the library. When they closed Wellston Branch, I used to walk to the Cabot Branch Library or to the Kingsbury Library.
I remember that.
As I got older, I would take the bus downtown to the main branch library. That was the big deal. Oh my God, that place is beautiful. It was beautiful then, and it is beautiful today. But I took personal responsibility for my education, and it paid off. It actually did work. I graduated from Washington University with a degree in chemical engineering. I graduated from Kellogg Graduate School of Management, the #1 business school in the world, top marketing school in the world. So I have the marketing and the business acumen. I went to Chula Longhorn University and studied international business. So I have a global perspective. For me, Missouri is not just, one of 50 states. Missouri is really part of the breadbasket of the world. We ship our agricultural products all over the world. So we need representation that recognizes our role globally and make sure that we have the infrastructure that our ports can move products around. And I'd say lastly, St. Louis, again, my hometown,
Right.
is home to so many life scientists. Life scientists are the chemistry majors, the biology majors, the agricultural majors, the people that work at Monsanto, the people that do all the science for our food and food products. St. Louis has more of these people than anywhere in the world. And we grow businesses. We grow a lot of agricultural businesses here in St. Louis. I think as your state rep, we need to recognize this. We need to sit down with some of the economists from the St. Louis Federal Reserve Board and look globally at what is it that we need to do right here in Missouri to grow our agricultural business, to grow the opportunities that our farmers, that our scientists, and our entrepreneurs have right here in St. Louis.
Right, man, y'all see that, man? Y'all see Dale dropping these jewels on y'all? My next question to you is, what questions or points of curiosity do you have for individuals who might have different views from you?
I meet people that have different views, and I'm usually a very curious person. I usually start most dialogues with, what kind of work do they do? What's their role? Lacey, I asked that because, again, I am a business major. I study business. I study all kinds of businesses, manufacturing businesses, service businesses, international businesses, import, export businesses. So, when I meet new people, that's usually where I start my dialogue. And then slowly the dialogue evolves and I talk about some of my entrepreneurship, some of the businesses that I own right now. And I talk to them about their passions and how they'd like to grow their business or use their work experience to start a new business. I am a big advocate for entrepreneurship. small business really is the backbone of our community. And I have a degree in business. I have the expertise in starting businesses and growing businesses. So Lacey, it is quite common that I'm sitting at the bar, I'm having a whiskey, and we are talking about some young lady's passion for trucking, or we're talking about some young man's passion for bubble bath manufacture.
Mhm.
You mentioned bubble bath manufacturer, and I just get so excited because I used to build bubble bath. I used to make bubble bath right here in St. Louis, my hometown. So usually for me, I really do like talking about business. I like talking about entrepreneurship. I like talking and helping people to figure out ways to start a new business, grow a new business, recognize the competition that you're going to face with your business.
Okay. Mr. Dale, what are some phrases or keywords that you think divide us?
I can't do that. I can't do that. That's only for white people. Um, no, it's for all of us. We ski, we ice skate. In fact, my frat brother is part of the Black Ski Organization, largest ski organization in the world. They go to these resorts and they take over the entire resort. I'm a member of the National Society of Black Engineers, a student-run engineering organization. Folks say, oh, we don't do that. We don't, we can't be engineers. Oh my God, absolutely we can be engineers. Some of the greatest engineers in the world. Mae Jemison, the astronaut, is an engineer. And we join these organizations, and Lacey, it is unlike the whole city, not the convention hall, not the hotel, the whole city. Everywhere you turn, young, professional, Black men, Black women, and Asian students and other students, they are attracted by the success of this organization. We interact, we network, we have a wonderful time. Lacey, there's none of this tomfoolery of guns and fighting, because that's not what it is about. We are about, growing, making our community better. Engineers really are problem solvers to make the community better. So we just share engineering ideas and talk about job opportunities and talk about, our career paths. And yeah, there's room. Come on by. Send me your resume. Come by and we'll talk about, see if my employer has room for you. It is just amazing how we network. And I think I'd like to see us as Black people do more of that networking in areas that, we're passionate about. You're passionate about movies. Some of us are passionate about music.
Mhm.
I'm passionate about engineering. So, find the things that you're passionate about, find others and do it. And don't, oh, I don't want to go there because that's only white folks. I have been to one of the best engineering conventions of my life was in Des Moines, Iowa.
Mhm.
Des Moines, Iowa, the middle of Iowa, the cornfields. It was just an absolutely amazing experience. So don't limit yourself by race, or Black folks don't do that. Go do it.
Yes, I tell people that all the time. I'll be like, we got the same 24 hours. What you choose to do with yours is you can't make excuses in life. The white people, none of that. You can't make no excuse. I'm just like you. I came from the hood and I graduated, got my bachelor's degree in film production, been making movies. I'm a journalist, so it's no excuses in life, period. So
I agree.
So speaking of the community, when you are elected, because I'm speaking that into fruition. So when
Thank
you
you.
are elected, what things will you set in place, not only for you, but for the community to help clean up the community?
It's interesting that you close with the word clean up the community. I grew up just blocks away from Wellston, and it is no longer the thriving business community that it was when I was a child. Most of the buildings are boarded up, they're closed down, there are vacant lots. And Lacey, there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of trash. I had I went by Sunday yesterday. I saw some folks setting up a tent and setting out some food. And I just pulled over to ask, how can I help? The Boy Scout, be prepared to help other people at all times. How can I help? And they said, well, we do this every Sunday. We've got things pretty much under control, but can you help me move this table over here? Can you help with that? And I'm glad to help. And then I just started picking up some of the trash. I start picking up some of the trash. I'm putting the trash in the plastic bag. And Lacey, I look around and I'm like, where are the trash cans?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the trash cans? If we don't like litter in our neighborhoods, shouldn't there be a trash can on the street corner? So I think that's one item that I'm going to actually be following up on today, is calling the alderwoman, going over and visiting one of the community centers and just asking the very simple question, can we get some trash cans on the street corner so that, people can throw instead of throwing their trash on the street, they can throw the trash in the trash can. I think a lot of small things, like that. We should not, in fact, do I have it on my wall? I don't, but let me see if I can give this one to you by memory. We should not, in trying to accomplish great things, ignore the small things, which over time can amount to great things. Marion Edelman Rice. Do something, even the smallest thing of, like I said, I'm picking up trash and I realize there's no trash cans. Make a few phone calls and get a couple of trash cans. These small things will grow into greater things. And now all of a sudden, people have some place to pick, to put their trash. There's an alternative. Lacey, there's so much in our community. That's just one small thing that I noticed yesterday. There are larger things, there are monumental things. I would really bring that back to, Lacey, it's hard to do the big things when people are ailing and people are sick, and we're having so many problems with crime in our community and mental illness. It's hard to talk about economic development when crime is running rampant. You have these crazy random gun shootings, and you have crazy folks driving crazy on the roads. How do we talk about investing in the community when we have these ills in front of us? So yes, my job is to look at the bigger picture and look at globally, how is Missouri going to thrive in the global markets? But I also have to start at the very, very beginning. The first thing is I am a servant, and that servant needs to help pick up trash.
I like that. Yeah, I see that. I stay in a loft downtown, and
oh, nice.
We got trash cans, and once you do see a trash can, it makes you want to throw the trash in the trash.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's real. I believe in what you said. So that's real. So my next question to you, could you elaborate more on infrastructure?
Lacey, did I mention I'm a chemical engineer?
I think you might have said that once.
Or did I mention that I used to build water treatment systems?
I think you might have mentioned that.
We build drinking water systems, and we build wastewater systems. We used to build them right here in St. Louis. We would build, most of our equipment were for tugboats. We would build small systems, kind of about the size of your car. And it would go on a tugboat, because believe it or not, the crew lives on that boat. They get on the boat in New Orleans, and that boat may sail all the way past St. Louis up to St. Paul, Minnesota. They live on that ship. And when they flush the toilet, that doesn't just go into the river. They have to process that. So I used to design and build those small water treatment systems. And I used to build large systems the size of these semi trucks and shipping containers. We would build large systems for cruise liners. People get on the cruise ship, the same thing. How are you going to process that wastewater?
I always used to wonder what happened when you flush the toilet.
I can tell you exactly, in excruciating detail, how much water, what I can tell. And again, we can sit down at the bar, we can have a whiskey, and I can tell you for hours and hours, because I am an engineer, and we say the devil is in the details. Knowing the details are how we solve these problems. So bringing that back to St. Louis. St. Louis is an old city, and we have some very old infrastructure. We have some old bridges. We have some old trellis bridges for our railroads. Even some of our major bridges are old and they need maintenance. But the area that I talk most about is the roads. People tell me, Dale, can you do something about these potholes, these potholes? And I tell them, I blew out a tire on my car. We do need to do something about the potholes. Some of these are state roads. Some of these are city roads. So it is going to require some coordination with the city of St. Louis. But what I say is when we're talking about this coordination, Lacey, under that road is the pipes for our drinking water, the drinking water for our homes. And under that road are the pipes that take our sewage and our wastewater away. And under that road are the pipes for our gas to heat our homes in the wintertime. And our electricity is under that road. And some places, your cable TV and your high-speed internet. All of these services are under that road. And these services need to be upgraded. They need to be maintained. We are replacing and upgrading the gas lines now. So what I say is, let's coordinate. Let's think about what's under that road. Let's look at the projects and let's coordinate and make sure that we are spending this money wisely and efficiently. Let's look at these projects. Let's look at how they intersect, and let's make sure that we are coordinating these projects so that we're not tearing up the road, fixing the road, tearing up the road, fixing the road, tearing up the road 4 and 5 times. Let's do what we can to try and do things efficiently.
Okay, y'all see this Dale can go on and on about this, man. Meet him at the bar, get y'all a lemonade, some whiskey. You know what I'm saying? He can go on. But so my next question is, you know, while you've been running in the office, political and all that, what has been your greatest challenge?
Lacey, I am running for state rep in the 84th district, which is basically the west side of St. Louis City. If you think about Skinker and you think about Kings Highway, that's really the west side of St. Louis. And if you start at Dogtown, Forest Park, and go all the way up to Highway 70, that's really the district, the west side of St. Louis. Very diverse district. You think about Forest Park, you think about Lindell, you think about Pershing and Waterman. Very nice, very old part of St. Louis City. Some of the best, you know, the jewels, the best part of St. Louis is in the west part of St. Louis. And then the areas that I live in, and the area of Wellston that we've been talking about that has gone through some decline and decay. And then you get to some areas, Lacey, and it is just downright, it's beyond decimated. The whole blocks, whole neighborhood blocks are gone. Decimated, decayed, torn down. Neighborhood schools that used to thrive in my childhood are now vacant buildings and they're eyesores. Lacey, I have rental property and I know what it takes to physically renovate a home and get a family moving there. And it frustrates me that it's a good business. It is a good business. And we don't have to have all of these vacant, dilapidated houses. We can use them. Lacey, I grew up in a time when we had Boy Scouts, we had Drum and Bugle Corps, we had Junior Achievement, we had all of these services in our neighborhood. In fact, I used to go to the old Sears building, which is now the Roberts building in Urban League. I used to go there for Junior Achievement. We can reuse these school buildings. We can reuse these school buildings, and I see other neighborhoods. I'm running to represent Dogtown, and they reuse their school buildings for community meetings, for community services. There are children running around. You would think it's still a school because they're using it for daycare and other items. Yeah. We can do the same, but we need organization, we need leadership. And in some areas, how can the state help with some of these grants and help with some of this funding? The state cannot do it all. I don't think we can look to the state to solve all of our problems, but the things, you know, there are some things that are well within the state's mandate, and there are some things that if we are working hard and working with the state, then the state can help with some grants and some funding for it. So, Lacey, that one hit my heart. That one hit my heart, and I had to share that. If you wouldn't mind, reread the question. Did I hit the question on the head?
Yeah, I was just saying, what has been your greatest challenge? You know.
That has been my greatest passion. Believe it or not, the greatest challenge is I spend all of my time thinking about what it is to be a state rep and how it is to become a great state rep. I knock on people's door, I talk to them. They don't know what a state rep is. They don't know who their state rep is. They don't know what, the business of the state is. And that's all fine. I don't blame them for that. We have so many things on our minds right now. Raising the kids, getting the kids to school, getting the kids from daycare, feeding the kids, getting the car. The car is giving me problems. I got to get the car fixed. I got to get now how am I supposed to pay for this? We have oh my God. And let's not even talk about the inflation and the gas prices.
Oh, man.
People have so many things on their mind that, I think about this stuff every day, all day. And I knock on their door and I introduce myself to them. And, it's not the first thing on their mind. It's not what they're thinking about. So I'm thankful and appreciative that they've even given me a few moments. And in those few moments, I try and share. The state of Missouri does a lot of things, one of which is healthcare. We do provide healthcare, Medicaid for lower income people, for people that don't necessarily make enough to afford private insurance. Funding for Medicaid is a big boost for our communities. It provides the physical health care. COVID exposed that. We really have some limitations in our healthcare. We need this Medicaid so that everyone, even poor people, even working poor people, can go to the clinics, can go and get the medical treatment that they need, that people can get the mental care that they need, and that this is a strong economic driver for our community. Within the few moments that people bless me with a little bit of their time, I try and share that with them because, again, I know this is not what's forefront on their mind. They don't know who their state rep is. They don't know, they're meeting me for the first time. It's not the first thing that they're thinking about. And yet it is very, very important. The work that we do at the state impacts all of our lives.
That's good. You came from where, I was raised on Arlington and Wells, so
I
went to
and
Sumner
you know exactly where Coke Brilliant School is.
I went to Cali Brown, I went to Langston Middle, I went to Sumner High School and all that, so that's I've been to Cavity Branch Library, all of that. So it's good to have somebody else coming from there, doing
Lacey, let me throw a question back to you. As a Sumner alum, what do you think? We hear, and Sumner is one of our greatest and oldest institutions.
Yes.
What, if you had some ideas, 2 or 3 ideas, what would you do to try and maintain the legacy of Sumner?
Man, I would definitely, keep hitting up our alumni, have the alumni go out in the community, where some of the Bulldogs stuff, what I'm saying, and get do things for the community, raise awareness, even try to create program, for instance, I'm a film director, right? Whatever our alumni who has left and did things, come back to the community. Like me, I want to start going into the schools, doing films for kids, bullying film, showing them how, like you said, conflict resolution and stuff. Whatever you do, like you're a chemical engineer, so teach these kids something, because start showing our faces back there, what I'm saying? And that's going to help, I think, because they keep trying to shut down the schools and everything. Keep that awareness in the community. That's what I think we should do, what I'm saying? And I think that'll keep the school open, what I'm saying? We have a lot of celebrities from there, so we about to be the next 2, But now we gotta, that's my thing, what I'm saying? I'm passionate about that. I'm always about helping the community, especially the youth, because that's where it starts. So that's my idea,
That's an excellent idea. And I think, I go door to door and I talk to people, a little bit about, I talk to them about healthcare, and then I ask them their ideas and their thoughts and how can we, put your ideas into fruition. Not all of these are state items, but some of them are. Some of them are, and that's my job as your state rep, is to look at the 16 different departments that the state runs and think about how does your idea intersect with a department that we already have in the state of Missouri? And does that department have a grant that we could possibly leverage to help you, put that idea into fruition? So that's one of my strengths. Lacey, I've been a business consultant. My job is to walk in, don't know anything. And that's not fair. I know a lot. I do a lot of research. I've worked at a lot of companies, but my job is to walk in and talk to folks at that company and figure out, how do they view the problem? How do they want to solve the problem? What are some different options and ideas? And then what are additional options, ideas? And how do we mesh these? And how do we make these work? And how do we put a plan together? That's my area of expertise. That's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
I like that. And then another thing I would like, even with the community and the police, they're so apart now. I think we should, because I remember as a kid, us running up to the police officer and they was passing us out the Cardinal cars, Ozzie Smith, you know what I'm saying? Like bring that camaraderie back with the community, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now, we look at the police as enemies, but start doing things, have police start talking to the people in the community. I think that's what would help. Because I remember there's one time I was shooting a film in Berkeley, I was doing something positive, constructive. And this police came up to it. We were shooting at the liquor doctor in Berkeley. We got permission and everything. And the police came up to us. And the first words out of his mouth was, "Excuse my friend, y'all gonna have to shut this shit down." You know what I'm saying? He didn't say, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How you feeling?" And you know what I'm saying? And that's what separates. So I think we need to learn how to talk to each other and do things that help the community out between the police and the citizens. And
I agree. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it was not always this animosity. The police were not always our enemies. Yes, they always had the guns. And yes, if one pulled up behind your car, you were probably going to get a ticket. And I'm not happy about getting a ticket. I'm probably going to get a ticket.
Yeah.
And it was probably my fault. It was probably something that I did. It didn't just pick me to persecute and pick on me. But no, Lacey, we do need to work on our relationship with our police. I have to throw this one out there. Because Lacey, I remember when at the Annie Malone parade, the mounted police on the horses. And where I live only a mile from the park. They would ride the horses up through the Route C Porter Mall. And as little kids, we could run up and we could see the horses, and they would bring the horses to the schools to interact with the kids, to learn that the police are not your enemy. They really are here for our safety. So I think that's a big piece of it. Lacey, I'm going to keep coming back to this. Some of it is us. We have to take responsibility for our neighborhoods. We have to, if we see something, we have to say something. If you don't want all of that craziness on your street, then say something. Say something. If you don't want to say something directly to them, call the neighborhood stabilization officer. You don't have to call the police and 911. Call the neighborhood stabilization officer and have a dialogue with them. And then they have the tools and they have the training to go and address and try and resolve some of these conflicts. Lacey, I look at the man in the mirror as the first step to solving some of the problems. If you want to make a change, start with the man in the mirror.
Yeah, I heard Michael Jackson song.
Something.
But let me ask you this, Dale. What has been your greatest accomplishment while you've been out here?
What's the question again?
What has been your greatest accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment. I was 9 years old. I went to the Wellston Branch Library and I would check out the Tinker Toys. I don't know if people will recognize or remember Tinker Toys, but that's how old I am. And it was a big box of Tinker Toys, and I would go to erecting and putting these things together. And I built a windmill.
Wow.
And I built a little carousel with a gearbox, literally a gearbox. And I had a turn crank. And as I would turn the crank, a rubber band would go up and it would turn the shaft, and the blades on the windmill would turn. And at the same time that the blades on the windmill would turn, there was a gearbox that would turn this carousel. And I thought to myself, this is going to be the future. This is how we're going to have windmills to power our cities. That was me at 9 years old.
Dale was
That
the first creator of windmills, y'all.
Lacey, I say that because I have no doubt that when God created me, he created me as an engineer, as a type of problem solver, as a type of person that looks at technology, he looks at science. I have a mastery of science and how things work. Again, we can sit down and I can tell you exactly how an airplane flies and how an airplane stays in the air. I have a mastery of these things. So, it was at that point that I realized that I'm good at putting these things together. I am a builder and I can build a better community. I can build a better city for us to live in. I can build better water treatment systems. I can build better distribution for our drinking water. I can build these things, and I do build these things. And I'm running for state rep because I think that's the right area. I think that's the right next step for me to take these problem solving skills to Jefferson City, to the legislature, and start tackling the really complex and hard budget items around healthcare, the really complex and hard budget items around funding our schools, the really, really hard and complex issues that butt up against our Constitution. And how do we influence safety and yet impinge upon our constitutional rights? It's not so much the science and the physics of wind powering a mill, but they are the same social skills. They are the same problem solving skills. They are the same negotiating skills. And if I get lucky, I'll even get a chance to work on some of the infrastructure stuff. So yeah, that's really, my greatest strength was recognizing what I am good at. Lacey, I think I'm an okay communicator. I think I communicate things clearly and succinctly. And I think that skill with all the others will do well for the state of Missouri and for the 84th district in Jefferson City.
Okay. So once again, yeah, if y'all want to know how to build stuff, infrastructure, meet Dale at the bar with the liquor and the whiskey, and he gonna break it down to you. But,
or meet me while I'm going out door to door, or meet me at church. But if you really, really want the nitty gritty,
for hours and hours,
for hours and hours,
meet him at the bar. But so why should the people vote for you?
Number one, vote. If you don't vote for me, vote for someone else, but vote. A voteless people is a hopeless people. You have to vote. We need to hear from you. This is how you communicate what is important to you, what issues are important to you, what people you want representing you. So A, vote. B, vote for the engineer. Vote for the person that has the proven problem-solving skills to work on our infrastructure, but to also work on some of the really complex issues that our legislature wrestles with. The budgets. The biggest thing that the House of Representatives of Missouri does is pass a budget each year, usually about $36 billion, but we're getting a lot of help from the Fed. So we've got about a $40 billion budget that we have to write every year. $40 billion that we collect and that we have to spend on the services throughout our state. So let's send some more engineers and some more business-minded people to Jefferson City to help us write these budgets and write this legislature.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to run for office? Because, the people be like, oh, the politicians, they just lie and tell us what we want to hear until they get in office and they don't do nothing. So what advice would you have for anyone trying to run for office?
I tell them that I'm not a politician. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm bringing my specific skills and my talents to the legislature to try and solve the problems of our community. and represent the people. The legislature is supposed to look like the people. We're not all lawyers. We're not all lobbyists. Some of us are engineers, nurses, filmmakers. Take your skills, take your talents, and run. Get a message and share that message. It only benefits all of us. We all benefit when people stand up and say, I have an idea, I have a message, I want to do this, I think we should do that. The competition is good. The messages and the ideas are great. The more people, the more dialogue about it, the more people are thinking about this. And it makes my job a little easier when I knock on the door and I say, hi, I'm running for state rep. What do you think? And they say, you know, it's interesting you say that because I just met Lacey Turner, the filmmaker, and he was thinking about running and he had a great idea. And I say, that's beautiful. That's nirvana. More people should participate in the process as your time and talents allow. And stand up, share a message, talk about what's passionate to you, and we can talk together. And some of those things maybe I can adopt, or maybe we can craft something that's even a little bit better. Engineers work together. We don't work. There's no such thing as one engineer. There's no, we work in teams. There are many of us. We are many of us, and we compare our notes and thoughts, and we cross-check each other's work. And oh God, don't make a mistake. You're an idiot. You didn't carry over the remainder. You know, we work together. We work in teams. This is a collaborative process, and I think that collaboration will do well for me in the legislature. I'm used to working with people. I'm used to working with people with different ideas and different thoughts. We sit down, pencil and paper, old school, and we scratch things out, and we scratch out our ideas, and we come up with better ideas and better ideas. And then we debate those ideas in the committee. We need representation in the committee itself, because that's where these ideas are honed and refined. And we invite people from the community to come to the state legislative hearing meetings. I've been to the hearing meetings. It is exciting. So yeah, if you want to run, run. I'm not a politician. I'm an engineer. We need more engineers. We need more filmmakers. The legislature should reflect the diversity of our community.
Facts. All right. Then my last question that I like to ask to all my people. When it is all said and done, when you are long gone from this earth, what is it that you want people to know about Dale Taylor?
That he was a good guy. That he was a son, a brother, a man of the community. That's primarily really it. I think, I am the oldest of, oh my goodness, I was going to say 3 younger brothers, but then that would not do justice to my stepsisters and half sisters. I come from a large family. I think they will say the first thing is that Dale is a man of integrity, but he is a man of service. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. If there's a problem, he's going to fix it. So, son, brother, community servant. Okay. That would hopefully be my legacy.
All right. Well, let the people know where they can find you and how can they come out and vote August the 2nd.
Excellent. August 2nd it's about 2 weeks away. So it's very important and some of the polling places have changed. So go to the St. Louis City Board of Elections website or the Missouri Secretary of State website, or send me an email and I'll help direct you. You can email me at del@votedeltaylor.com. You can go to my website, www.votedeltaylor.com, or you can call me at 314-399-9153, and I will help you to identify your polling location. Make sure you have a plan and a strategy for how you plan to vote on Tuesday.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dale. Mr. Dale Taylor, I appreciate you for giving me this time. It's been an honor to hear all your views and everything, and I just appreciate you. We need more people like you. Like you said, I'm not a politician. I'm an engineer. I love it. I love to say it. So thank you for coming on my platform, and I will let you know when we drop. I think we're going to drop this in parts, so I will let you know when each part drops.
Thank you very much, Lacey. I appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure to meet you today. I hope we can meet together again.
Oh, definitely.
I'll send you a text with some of my favorite watering holes.
Okay. I send you a link to some of my film stuff I done did too.
Excellent. Sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.